It was 3 a.m. when the knock came, a sharp, urgent, and out of place in the quiet stillness of the night. Daniel Ross woke with a jolt, heart hammering, unsure if he had dreamed it. The house was silent except for the faint hum of the refrigerator and the whisper of the cold wind outside. His phone screen glowed on the nightstand. 3 a.m., the hour no one should be awake unless something had gone terribly wrong. He rubbed his eyes, trying to steady his breathing. The knock came again. 9 slow, deliberate taps. Daniel's stomach tightened. No one visited at this hour. Not in this quiet neighborhood. Not in this small Oregon town where people locked their doors by 10 p.m. and trusted fate to handle the rest. He slipped out of bed, hesitating only a moment before grabbing the baseball bat he kept behind his dresser, not because he expected danger, but because every horror story he'd ever read started with someone ignoring their instincts. As he walked down the hallway, each step seemed louder than usual. The whole house felt differently still, but charged, like it was holding its breath. He reached the foyer, the faint porch light casting an eerie glow across the frosted window panels beside the door. A shape moved on the other side. Someone was definitely there. Daniel swallowed hard, tightening his grip on the bat. "Who's there?" he called out, voice low but steady. No answer, only silence thick enough to push against his eardrums. He hesitated, then slowly turned the deadbolt. The metal clicked louder than he expected. His hand rested on the doorknob. A cold dread crawled up his spine, whispering a warning. "Don't open it." But something strange for curiosity, dread, instinct pulled him forward. He opened the door. A blast of cold night air rushed inside. Daniel froze, standing on the porch, breathing, blinking, looking just as shocked as himself. Not someone who looked like him, not a distant relative with familiar features, not a hallucination. It was him. Same face, same jawline, same scar on the eyebrow from the time he fell off his bike at age 12. Same old t-shirt he wore to bed. Same everything. It was him, staring back at him, eyes wide with the same terror he felt. For a long moment, neither of them spoke or moved. The world seemed to tilt, the air around them thickening until Daniel felt it press against his skin. Finally, the other Daniela, the one standing outside, swallowed and whispered, "Please see broken bar, let me in." Daniel stumbled backward instinctively, gripping the bat tighter. "What is this?" he demanded. "Who are you?" The other Daniel stepped forward slightly, hands raised in surrender. "I'm you," he said quietly, "but I don't have time to explain. Something is coming. You need to let me in before it finds me." Daniel's heart pounded harder. "What's coming?" he asked. The other Daniel looked over his shoulder into the darkness of the street. The neighborhood was silent, the streetlights flickering softly. Nothing was there, but the fear in his eyes was real. "I can't explain," he whispered. "If I start, we might not have enough time." Daniel shook his head slowly. This was insane, impossible. He must be dreaming. He lifted the bat slightly. "If this is some kind of trick, yeah. Look at the scar on your wrist," the other Daniel interrupted. Daniel froze. That scar hidden beneath his sleeve was from something so private, so personal, no one else knew it existed. When he was 16, he had carved a small line into his skin during the darkest night of his life. He had told no one, not even his best friend. The other Daniel pulled up his sleeve. The same scar, faded, slanted, identical. Daniel's grip weakened. "I told you," the other Daniel murmured. "I'm you, from somewhere else, and we don't have time." The wind suddenly shifted, cold and violent, rattling the trees. A distant sound like metal scraping concrete echoed through the street. The other Daniel's eyes widened. "It's close." "What is?" Daniel whispered. "Please," his double begged. "Let me inside. If it sees me, it'll see you too." A chill raced up Daniel's spine. He stepped aside, and the other him rushed in, slamming the door shut behind him. He pressed his back against it, breathing hard. Daniel stared at him, heart racing. "What's going on?" he demanded. The other Daniel slowly turned to face him. "You're not supposed to open the door at 3 o'clock a.m., he said quietly. "But I knew you would." "Because I did." The words twisted Daniel's stomach. "Explain," he insisted. The other Daniel walked deeper into the house, staring at the familiar walls as if seeing a memory. "In my world," he began, "or a broken bar timeline, or whatever you want to call it, everything was normal. I lived the same days, made the same choices, until last week." "What happened last week?" Daniel asked. The other Daniel hesitated. "I started seeing things. Shadows, reflections that didn't match. Time glitches. Then, 2 nights ago a broken bar. Something knocked on my door at 3 a.m. Daniel's heart slowed to a painful pace. "I opened the door," the other Daniel continued softly, "and standing 3 broken bar was me." Daniel felt his blood turn cold. "And I let him in," the other Daniel whispered. "But I shouldn't have." "Because it wasn't me." A silence fell like a heavy curtain. "What do you mean it wasn't you?" Daniel asked. The other Daniel's jaw trembled. "It was a mimic, a creature that looks like you, knows you, copies you. It enters your world by replacing one version of you." Daniel stepped back, his breath shaking. "Replace you a broken bar?" "Yes." "So where is your broken bar mimic?" Daniel whispered. The other Daniel squeezed his eyes shut. "It took over my life." Daniel felt dizzy. "And you a broken bar? You ran from your world." "I escaped before it could absorb me. I crossed into your timeline. I've been jumping through doors, running from it ever since." A loud crack echoed outside like a tree branch snapping under weight. Both men stiffened. "It followed me," the other Daniel whispered. "It's here." Daniel's pulse spiked. His eyes darted to the windows, expecting something monstrous to appear. "What does it want?" he whispered. "To replace you," the other Daniel said darkly. "That's what it does." Suddenly, there was another knock at the door. 9 slow, deliberate taps, just like before. Both Daniels froze. "It found me," the other Daniel whispered. Another knock. "Don't open it," he begged. "No matter what." Daniel stepped back, gripping the bat again, breath trembling. His mind raced. If what a broken bar other version of him said was true, something outside looked exactly like him. A shadow moved past the frosted window panel. Daniel felt a cold sweat run down his spine. Then came the voice. "Daniel, a broken bar." "It's me." His own voice, perfectly identical. "Open the door." A slow, eerie fear slithered into his bones. The other Daniel backed away from the door, shaking his head violently. "Don't listen to it. It can sound like you, think like you. It'll trick you." The voice outside knocked again, quieter this time. "Please, see broken bar, let me in." Daniel's knees weakened. It sounded so real, so desperate. "What if it's really another version of me?" Daniel whispered. "It's not," the other Daniel snapped. "It's the mimic, and if you open that door or a broken bar you won't survive." The knocking grew louder, more aggressive. Then it stopped. Silence. Daniel stood there trembling, eyes locked on the door. Suddenly, the voice outside changed, deepened, twisted. "Daniel, a broken bar." A scratchy sound dragged across the door, like nails scraping wood. "Let a broken bar in." Daniel stumbled backward. The other Daniel grabbed his arm. "We need to leave now." They rushed toward the back of the house as the creature outside continued dragging its fingers across the door. Daniel could hear it breathing a wet, low, and unnatural. They reached the back hallway just as the front door handle rattled violently. "It's trying to force its way in," Daniel whispered. "It won't," the other Daniel said. "Not while we're both here. It can only replace one of us if we're separated." The house suddenly shook. A powerful thud hit the door, then another, and another. The wood groaned under the force. "It's breaking in," Daniel gasped. "We need to get to the basement." The other Danielle said, "There's a way out, a doorway between timelines." Danielle stared at him. "How do you know?" The other Daniel looked into his eyes. "Because I built it, in my world, and you'll build it in this one too if you survive." Another thunder slam, the door cracked, something hissed from outside. "Run!" The other Daniel yelled. They sprinted down the hallway, reaching the basement door. Daniel yanked it open, and they rushed down the wooden steps. Halfway down, the house shook violently as the front door shattered. It was inside. Daniel heard its footsteps, a heavy, dragging, distorted as it entered the house. The creature's breath echoed through the walls, a grotesque mimic of his own breathing. They reached the basement floor. The other Daniel ran to the far wall and pushed aside an old cabinet, revealing a narrow space behind it. Embedded in the wall was a strange, glowing frame shimmering like liquid light. "It's not finished," Daniel breathed. "It doesn't have to be," the other Daniel said. "It just has to work long enough for me to jump." Daniel's heart lurched. "You're leaving?" "I have to. If I stand by a broken bar it'll kill us both." "But listen to me, if it gets down here, one of us has to stay behind to distract it." Daniel stared at him. The other Daniel stared back. Neither needed to ask the question. "Which Daniel?" The footsteps reached the basement stairs. Slow, heavy, getting closer. The other Daniel grabbed Daniel's shoulders. "If it catches you, a broken bar, it'll replace you. Everyone you know will think it's you, and you'll be gone forever." Daniel's breath trembled. "Then what do I do?" "When it comes a broken bar, don't trust anything it says," the other Daniel whispered. "And whatever happens a broken bar, don't let it become you." The basement stairs creaked. The creature was descending. Closer, closer, closer. The other Daniel stepped into the glowing frame. "It's up to you now." A distorted voice echoed down the stairs. "Daniel, a broken bar." Daniel turned just as the creature appeared at the bottom of the staircase. It was him, but wrong. Its face twitched unnaturally. Its eyes were too dark, too wide. Its skin flickered like static, glitching between shapes. Daniel stumbled back in horror. The mimic smiled, a long, unnatural smile. "There you are," it whispered. Daniel gripped the bat, body trembling, mind screaming. Behind him, the portal flickered violently, ready to close. "Only one Daniel gets to walk away," the mimic hissed. Daniel's eyes darted between the creature and the shimmering doorway. He had a choice: run through the portal, or stay and fight. The mimic lunged forward with a guttural growl. Daniel made his decision, and in the blinding flash that followed, only one Daniel remained standing in the basement, breathing, alive, changed forever. When the sun rose hours later, the house was silent, peaceful. A single door at the back of the basement hung slightly ajar, its shimmering light finally gone. Daniel walked up the basement stairs slowly, closing the front door behind him. He didn't know whether the version of him who remained was the original, and he didn't know if the creature was truly gone. But one thing he knew for certain: he would never open a door at 3 a.m. again. "Just tell me,"